Welcome back. So it is getting close to chassis time. So look, we got it on the chassis jig. If you saw the last episode, picking up right where we left off there. Starting off this video with a little bit of movement. We're going to pull the lathe out, bring it upstairs. Okay, so part of the process of getting to the chassis was getting this lathe up so we could use it to notch them. So he was doing it on the mill, but it was not optimal. So there'll be a new bit soon from Summit. Show us how it notches.
Well, the only reason that's a brand new bit, but this is 1.5 inches. So some of the tubing's 1.5 inches, but most of it's 1 5/8. So the one that's coming is 1 5/8. But the mill is just hard to put angles. I've got a stand. Let me grab that stand. So if I'm doing a roll cage, for instance, got this stand here and a bar can ride on it. It'll roll in and out with. It's really nice. But this just works really good. So instead of, I've spent 20 some odd years doing it in a mill, and this just occurred to me the other day that it's so much more logical to use this. So it works pretty good. So that's a pretty fast knot.
You can see how nicely and precisely that fits up.
Yeah, and quick, that's the idea.
Quick, and precise. Win-win.
This morning, look at that. I mean, that's like water wouldn't even run through that.
Quick note, if you're interested in finding that bit on Summit, links below in the description. But this video is actually going to be a little bit different than some of the ones in the past and the ones that will be coming up. The true reality of building a car is that there is a lot of thought process that goes into it. You guys know that. But a lot of times that part is skipped, and honestly, I was going to skip that. I wasn't even going to show that. I was going to go straight into building the chassis, but that's not true, and that leaves out a huge component of the build itself. So I wanted to show kind of what was going on in our heads and our conversations as we were deciding what the car would look like going forward so we could build the chassis around that. So hopefully you enjoy it. Hopefully it's educational, but just know moving forward, there won't be as much talking. There'll be a lot more working. But for this, that is really what happened for 2, 3, 4, 5 days. So I wanted to share that. So I hope you guys enjoy that. So Tom Bailey called this morning. I called him, actually. He had texted, and he was like, you do not want to go with a smaller slick or a 15-inch wheel on this if you want it to go as fast as you're wanting to go. So this is a Goodyear tire, which we'll be running a Mickey Thompson tire, but this is a Goodyear tire, and it's 34 inches tall. Right here we have 2 inches of clearance for to allow for tire to grow as it's going down track. So that's why we're gonna go with a shorter slick, a smaller slick. So we've spent a little bit of time trying to decide what the best option here is. Our options is to bubble here.
It's gonna come like right here, 2 inches. It won't be but about that long. I'll just blend it back in. The window will have a little notch out of the corner. It'll look really good.
Or the option is to raise it.
Here, you guys be the judge.
So if we raise it, we go with that option and we don't go with the bubble. That's the minimum amount we can raise it, 1.5 inches. And I just don't like it as much. You see so much of the wheel and tire at this point.
On it on the ground. That would be, let's see, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's 6.5 inches from the road to there. So most of them are like that, 6 or 7 inches.
Because that's what it takes.
Yeah.
Like that's the only other option other than bubbling it. So I mean that's just the way it is. So
if we do a bubble, it'll just be a little 2-inch bump right here. It'll only be in here. You won't even really notice.
For aesthetic purposes, we're gonna go with the option of bubbling. Much better. So bubble it is, and that means now that we have that established, we can start going in laser squaring it and getting it right. Basically going through with the level, as you can see, finding center. So center it back, center it center, center it front, and then getting that tacked, the body actually tacked, so that way everything will be straight. So we're gonna tack the body to those bars that you see across. As you can see, just going through and tacking as we square. I'd say that's squaring up pretty easy and pretty quickly.
We squared it up with those bars the other day, just here on the floor on jack stands. But if you look, the laser's shooting right down that mark right there, right in the center. It's that way at the front and at the middle of the frame, the chassis jig. So that's a pencil line down through there. Then we squared off the rocker panels inside and outside, front and middle of the car. It's dead nuts. Then you come back here, look at that. That's the mark we're using. It's right on the money. And you can do this. You know, the back part of this car is very flexible still. We'll put braces up, but that car is like within a 1/16 of an inch anywhere.
Gonna start cutting bracing out.
Did not move at all.
Bracing that we don't need because it's already served its purpose. Okay, we're at the point of ordering parts. From Summit. Mom is good at searching pretty much anywhere, but Summit is her, it's her jam. So, leaving this to her, gave her the list. And lots of stuff to order, starting with struts on the front because that's what we're going to need sooner rather than later so we can start getting chassis ready. And then she's still...
I gotta get seat covers now.
She's searching, so.
We're getting there.
That's a good job for her. I'm going back to do other stuff. What you got today?
Oh, Booker, are you filming me?
I am. I'm hoping it's something good. I never know what's coming. There's enough.
Everything you need.
That doesn't look like what I need.
In the opposite order that you need it.
Yeah, probably.
Oh, that's Holley, I think.
This is good stuff.
Okay, okay. Is this Holley? Yes. Yes.
Holley.
Oh, okay, this is a good day. More Holley. Is there another? Can we get one more?
Yeah. This is probably quadruple the bumper.
Okay.
Holley, I think.
Holley.
Yep, Holley. Holley.
Ooh, ooh, ooh. All for the new car. This came yesterday, so the funny part is we got one box from Holley. We have a huge order in. One box and this came. The main power harness, I was like, I know stuff's coming, I just don't know when. So every time the truck shows up, we're like, what's it gonna be?
There's a lot of Holley.
Oh, Malanta! It just keeps coming. There's a lot of Holley needed for that car. Bam!
Well, hopefully I gave you at least 30 minutes worth.
That gave us some enjoyment.
Yeah, we're gonna open boxes and just have fun now for 30 minutes.
Okay, let's get to opening. Okay, so tied into this video here, we get the, like you saw, the unboxing of the Holley. I want to go through and show you all the pieces, so let's go ahead and get it laid out. There's, as you can see, there is a lot of boxes here. Okay, so starting here with the Dominator, because that's kind of like our head of all these electronics. It's the brain of the system. So there is like a ton of inputs and outputs. So you have a couple that are dedicated to like your main harnesses, and then over here in your J3, J4 connectors, and then some of the J1 and 2, you have additional inputs and outputs where you can program your whatever sensors, whatever you want to log in there. So data logging capabilities controls fuel, spark, drive-by-wire, nitrous, boost, water meth. The possibilities are just, they're not, maybe not limitless, but they are tons of possibilities to do with this. So here's something new. So this is their new Pro 600 box. I say new, relatively new. This came out, I think, the year before last. I can't remember exactly. So this is designed for high output spark. So this is to control that. And then these are the new coils that they just came out to go with it. So this is perfect and ideal for things like anything with like nitrous or forced induction, perfect for methanol, E85, that type of situation. So for us, since we will be running methanol and we will be forced induction, high cylinder pressure, that's why we decided to go with this. This is perfect for like applications like we're doing with like street and strip use. So at the track, we can turn up the spark so we get to maximize that there, but then on the street we don't want the high spark the whole time, all the time, so we can use this to control that and have lower spark output on the street. Now on to the dash, because this is what we will be seeing most of the time, where the rest of this will be kind of tucked away. It's for use. So this is the new 12.3 inch dash. The one we had previously was a 7-inch dash, so you know, a little less than, this is a little more than half, whatever. That was a little less than half. So here you've also got your wiring harness that comes with it. So with the standalone, you've got inputs and outputs that you can actually use with the dash. So the Dominator has inputs and outputs, and the dash has its own inputs and outputs. I think it's 30 here. I haven't actually got to use this yet. This is just now, this will be our first one. It's got cool stuff like it's got an odometer, so you've got a little antenna in here that actually, you know, count your odometer. This is going to be perfect on the old dashes. You also is like more stylus. You need to use a stylus for it to be more effective. This is like a touchscreen like on your phone, so not only is it bigger, it's going to be more user friendly, and it allows you to go in and have like toggle switches on here. You can change it in here, like in the dash itself. Up next we have the EGT sensors. So we do have EGT sensors in the Nova already. If you're not familiar with EGT, you may or may not be. EGT stands for exhaust gas temperature. So you put one of these sensors, we have 8 just like this, you put one in each tube on the header. So you have 4 per side, 1 per cylinder. So this is so you can read your exhaust gas temperature and you can do individual cylinder tuning. So you're able with the Holley software to control the spark and the fuel per cylinder. So this gives you your temperature, and then you can adjust as needed for, say, maybe manifold distribution issues or something like that. So that allows you to compensate for maybe a hotter cylinder or a colder cylinder, and you can do all that through the Holley software. These will each plug into these, as you can see, and then this plugs into the Holley. Here is a cam sync, so this goes where your distributor would go. Dad has a dual sync currently that controlled cam and crank. He actually only uses it to control cam now. When he originally bought it and had it in the car, it was controlling both, but as he increased in power, he has a crank sensor like you see here that he uses. So now I'll have to show you, but the one that's in the car is really big and bulky, and it is in a tight space, and so when you go through the sequence of timing it in and getting it right, it's kind of hard to actually do that because you're in such a confined space. So this is going to be, 1, more space efficient, 2, just in general, it's a better design. It's going to be perfect for the application. here is the dual sink that I was talking about. Wow, everything is so dirty. It's a busy shop here. This is the dual sink. So as you can see, you have to come in here with the cap off and you adjust it. It's got a sequence that you follow to get it, I guess we'll call it timed, but set properly. So having the smaller, it's a lot smaller, it's going to be really nice because it's going to be much more accessible, less messy, it's just going to be cleaner in general. So that's also a big upgrade there as well. So if you want to know any of these parts, you're curious, you might want to look at them to get more information or anything like that, I'm going to link each of the parts in the description below to the Holley site, which has lots of information and also has places where you can purchase it. The reality of building and coming up with a chassis like this is that it's not just putting bars in a car, is it?
No. It's tough. The floor.
Look at the floor, yeah. So right now, deciding seat position, so that way we can decide where the main hoop goes. The complicated part is he's 6'1", and I am 5'4", on a good day. So trying to find a position where we both can drive is the challenge right now.
So the seat's in a pretty good position here, I think. If we go back any further, we're back here. I like to drive, especially in this thing, it's gonna be hot with my arm out the window, and if we go back, you can't. So that's kind of tells me where I want to be front to back. And up and down, in a 55, if we don't come, I've already raised the rockers quite a bit, and then we're gonna raise the seats quite a bit. If we just bolted the seat on the floor like we would in a Camaro or Nova, we'd feel like we're way down inside the car. So we've raised the seat. I think we've got that established. I think it needs to move over just a little bit. But the problem between the two of us is steering wheel and pedals. Your little legs are way shorter. If we put the pedals for you, I'm gonna be driving.
Yeah, like I think I said I want my pedals. Where did I have like say?
Well, that's the board you had there.
Yeah, and I think I had it right at the edge.
So, but you gotta figure that's where, you know, you want to be on the pedal, and that's really got my knees bent up. I'd be driving like this. I don't like it. So the firewall is actually going to be forward of that quite a lot.
Probably about right, come out to here is what we're thinking.
Across to the bell housing.
Can't move the seat because you have to be, what, within 6 inches of the main hoop?
Yeah, you got to be in the funny car cage, and it's got to be bolted too.
So there's rules within that. So moving the seat is not realistically an easy option. So that's why rather than doing that, that's, like I said, just not really an option. So the pedals are going to be the option there. But really where this all got started was trying to decide position of the main hoop. So probably, I think it'll be about right here, right? It's what we're talking about.
That'll be probably about there for the center of the bar.
So, oh, our floor broke, great. It's almost like the floor that was in it before.
Yeah, it is. This one might have termites, the other one has rust in it.
About as sturdy. Next on the list is determining engine setback, and then that's also basing how the rest of it will be built.
There's a lot of options on engine setback. My main concern is 55 Chevy, even though it's a big car, has got a tiny underhood. Every time putting a big block in one's really hard. Radiators crammed in. Fortunately for us on this one, there's no rules, it's unlimited. So we're not gonna be running turbos up here like we do on our cars. Turbos are actually gonna be back here. So that's gonna work out really good. We're gonna have the headers built, turbos, and then 1 4-inch out downpipe. So we've got lots of room. I've never had that luxury before in front. So I shoved the engine back to where, one, it'll be good weight transfer, but I didn't want to get back, way back under. The elbow will be here, so I don't want to come back into the cowl. So that kind of determined how far I want to go back. And then we've got it side to side and leveled and everything. The nice thing is this top of this bar is the bottom of the rocker panel. This is the ground. This would be the tarmac. So everything will be level with the bottom of the car. Nothing's going to be hanging below the rocker panels. And that's still, we got our crankshaft centerline height really nice. It came out just where we want it to be. By lowering the car, the body, we're basically channeling the body over the frame. And that's what's happening here. This tube represents the main rail of the chassis. By raising the rocker panels like I did here, we're going to be able to have 4+ inches, like 4.5 inches underneath the side rail and the crossbars here. So if I want to put exhaust or when we run our fuel lines, whatever, we'll have plenty of room up inside the car. Yeah, we don't have our actual rear end housing, so I took a junk housing and put it in there, just tack welded it just so we can kind of work over it. So once the main hoop's in and like you say, those 2 bars are in, I'll start going back. We'll go between the tires. So the shocks, the sway bar, all the way back to the trunk area. We'll get that width determined with the tires and the height determined with the axle housing. Then, a few days later, we'll be coming forward.
So for anyone wondering as building a chassis, there are books, SFI specifications. So this book tells all the numbers that you need to know, all the different tubing sizes, and all the different configurations you can do.
Yeah, there's lots of different things you can do. So we're going to go for this 25.3 mainly because it's a little bit safer than a 25.1. I feel like it's not a lot different, but the roof has an X in it instead of just a single diagonal. There's a few more gussets, but as long as we keep the car under 3,200 pounds, we're going to have a 6.0 cert with a 25.3, which is as fast as we're ever going to go. I mean, we're never going to go faster than 6.0. We're not even going to go 6.0. Let me get that explained. So
explain that clearly.
We're clearly in the clear with that. If you do a 25.1, you're limited to 2,800 pounds, which the car probably will fit in that, or could, but that way we don't have to be so particular about every part. 3,100 is pretty light.
So deciding now is how the main hoop will...
We're going to go with the main hoop. If we do it like I typically do with the back bars straight up and down, the ones that go back behind the seat, main hoop has to be back 4 or 5 inches. I think we'll scoot the main hoop forward just a little bit and make these bars bend at the top, similar to that picture there.
See how these bars are bent here, which allows this front section to be a little bit shorter as well, versus the straight up and down, which you see here. So see how those are straight. So it is in. So this was a very complicated one because if you think about the bend here, you have to come side to side and they have to meet up and match. So this was one of the hard bars, but it is in. So this is where everything will be based off of. So this is going to be a little bit different looking chassis than maybe seen before, because with the 4 links here to get them the right length, this is our main hoop bar down low, and then there'll actually be a bar behind it where the 4 link will connect to, so that way you can get the proper length of those. So if you see that and you wonder why, that is why. But anyway, so bar number 1, it is not tacked or anything, so look at that fit. It is just stuck in place. So I assume tonight we'll probably get the hoop that goes up as well. But 1 bar in, it's gonna turn into something. And that's the starting point, because this is what everything, as I said, is based on. So forward and back. Also, you guys didn't see this yet. This is not the front clip that will go on it, but it'll look just like this. That side's tacked?
Huh?
Oh, I was just doing a video saying the other side's tacked. This side's tacked. Almost. But coming around so you can see, got enough clearance here because we're getting a QA1 carbon fiber drive shaft and do not want to hurt that. So this gives us, this drop here is about 5 inches. Well, we'll have about 5 inches. So that way we're not gonna hit it, or we can take it out, remove it.
You have 7 inches of shock travel, so by the time that drops down 7 inches to get the tires off, which are big and the openings are little, that gives us clearance for our drive shaft.
Yeah, so lots of room to drop there, so that's good. Then also up here talking a little bit more about front clips, so you can see looking in, we're not gonna have any radiator clearance issues, and then our car will have a front bumper. So we're gonna do a fiberglass front bumper. So the main rail, lower rail, will come through, it'll come through right about here. So it will, because it's higher than what you might typically see, so it will come through and come out right in the bumper, so that'll hide with that as well.
We're gonna make this pretty tight to the roof. 67 twice, 134 inches. We'll allow a couple inches for the bottom and cut it off.
Okay, sneak peek of what it's gonna look like. Forgot to cut the video where I planned on, so you get to see a couple more bars. So this is the main hoop that we're talking about here. So the one that follows up like this is the main hoop. So then the seat will be in front of that. And then this structure is for the 4-link itself because of the spacing. So as I talked about earlier. So got the lower rear rails ran. So then the uppers will come. But anyways, that's all you're getting for this video. Like I said, forgot to cut it when I was supposed to. Okay. So I hope you enjoyed it. Lots of progress, but there's going to be a lot more happening soon because once bars just start going in, which they're going in pretty quick, it's really, really gonna look like it's coming together. So stay tuned for the next update because I anticipate a lot of change. As always, I hope you guys enjoyed. Thank you for watching. Be happy, go fast, and stay pretty. I will see you guys next time.